Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. We're live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Alison McConnell and Tam McManus. Here with us on the show on this Monday, we're going to look back over the Scottish Cup quarter-final ties, get your thoughts on it as well. And we will also look ahead to Rangers' Europa League return leg against Red Star Belgrade. They're in a really good position and they've had a really good weekend as well, because it was a comfortable win over Dundee, as I thought it might be, because Dundee have not been great, Ruffy.
No, they haven't. They just looked short ideas, but start to finish, I think Rangers were the dominant force. I think 3-0, it could have been more than that quite easily, you know, and they're struggling for players as well, you know, struggling for first team players. And they really need to get their act together soon. Yeah,
we'll talk about Dundee and their predicament in a moment, but Rangers, I mean, it's 3-0, as Ruffy says, going on 4-5. They had numerous chances and they looked as if they were in complete control from start to finish. I think the only blemish or possible debate in the whole thing, and we're nitpicking here, was it a penalty?
No, it wasn't a penalty. Not for me. I don't even think it's a foul. You know, I think the defender reads where he's going to go and he just runs into him. I mean, where's he supposed to go there? I think there was a similar one up at Ross County not that long ago, which wasn't given as a penalty. So for me, it wasn't a penalty kick. Poor decision by the referee, but that didn't affect the scoreline at all. I think that Rangers could have won 6 or 7-0. I think second half they absolutely battered Dundee. They missed countless chances. So although it didn't really affect the game at 1-0, you know, it's still for Dundee. They'll probably be angry that they probably could get back into the game. But for me, it was one-way traffic. Dundee, Rangers won it comfortably.
Yeah, you can split hairs on the penalty on whether it should have been given or not, but the one thing about it, when it was given, you know, I always get a little bit tetchy when people say, well, it was a soft penalty, because quite simply it's either a penalty or it's not.
Yeah, it wasn't. I agree with Tam. It wasn't a penalty for me. I think I don't think there was a foul involved. I didn't think it was a penalty kick. But I think that the soft penalty kind of implies that you think maybe someone's been quite fortuitous to get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that, Ali. As Kenny Dalglish, I could hear the echoes of Kenny Dalglish just reading the paper on Monday. It's a penalty because the ref says it. Now, penalties, Ruffy, Tavernier. I mean, look at the stats for your man, the Rangers captain. I mean, he is flying. He scored 38, 27 in the Premiership, 2 in the Scottish Cup, 6 in the Europa League, and of course Europa League qualifiers as well. He sure knows how to take a penalty kick, and I'll tell you something, Ruffy, he doesn't just, you know, look for the low and the bottom corners. He picks the postage stamp.
Yeah, he's made his mind up. That's what he's going to do. You know, I still think it's a bit risky when you go that high. You know that you've got to connect with it right, but he does. He's got a fantastic clip on him when he hits it, and he just goes right through it, and it's just unsavable at that height. But I always think it's a bit risky going that high.
Yeah, well, strangely enough, I don't think it's risky when you've got the technique the way Tavernier has. I think penalty taking is an art, and quite clearly his technique is superb.
Yeah, his technique is fantastic. He's obviously practices it, you know, because he can bend it in that corner, he can go the other corner. He's fantastic at penalty kicks. I mean, there was no doubt for me that he was going to score it. You know, I think when Tavernier goes up and takes it, you think he's going to score. He's missed a couple, possibly, but I think in the main he's been deadly from the penalty spot. And listen, there's still time for penalty Rangers to finish top goal scorer in Scotland this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, at the end of the day, that was just a small part of the story. I got the gag, Ruffy, don't worry, there's no point in going back to it. I can tell, because what he does is he'll deliver it and he'll turn round and he waits to see if he's going to get recognition. But the recognition comes when people send a message and they're dying to absolutely batter him. So the mere fact that you sniggered there. Anyway, apart from anything else, Ali, you've got a centre half who finishes with some aplomb, and Sakala at the end just put the tin lid on it. For Dundee though, I think Lee Ashcroft has got a hamstring injury. The Dundee fans up in the area are certainly not happy that John Nelms didn't see fit to go to the game and watch Dundee. So, and the £30 a ticket for a game that was live on the telly clearly took its toll on them, because it was very, very sparsely populated.
I think it was deliberate. I think I think very clearly it's a message that's coming from the Dundee support about their frustrations of this season, and in particular over the course of the last few weeks.
Yeah, you look at it, Ruffy. I mean, 6 games, they've won nothing, drawn 2 and lost 4. I mean, and it was painful in midweek as well when St Mirren get the late winner.
Yeah, it certainly was, but that's what happens when you're down there. You know that you don't get the wee breaks that you think you should get, and they're on a terrible run now. I know they won against Hearts, and then James McPake got sacked, but since then Mark's got a couple of draws, but they just don't look like scoring goals.
Yeah, that's a good point actually, Ruffy. 1 goal in the last 5 matches, 1 shot on target in the last 2 games. When you're looking at teams at the bottom, you're trying to look for a spark or something that suggests they might be able to get off the ropes and get out of their predicament. I don't see it with Dundee. I could maybe see it with St Johnstone.
Yeah, I think Dundee are in massive trouble. You know, it's obviously between the two of them at the bottom. I think if you were a Dundee supporter, you'd bite your hands off to finish in the playoff spot at the minute. I think they're favourites to get relegated. I think St Johnstone done good business in the January window. They brought players in. Don't see it with Dundee. Dundee sacked the manager. Again, doesn't look as if that's been a good decision either so far. Not won a game yet. The only bonus is Mark McGee, I think, is allowed back in the dugout now.
Yeah.
Will that make a difference? I don't know, but they've been abject the last couple of games, Dundee, and they don't look like scoring goals, and they're conceding a lot, so that's not a great combination, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. The good news for Rangers, though, is it's a comfortable win. Couple of knocks, Ryan Kent and Ryan Jack, but they should be okay for the match against Red Star Belgrade. And Aaron Ramsey gets 79 minutes as well, Ruffy.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he gets a wee show in the European game. It'll be interesting to see how they approach that game, you know, when they see the team selection, and to see whether he really thinks they've done enough, you know, to get through that tie. And it'll be interesting to see Ramsey playing. I think there was wee touches there that we saw that he is the player that we've all seen in the past. But no, I think they'll be looking forward to the European game.
Yeah, with confidence. I mean, you're 3-0 up, Ali. You would expect Gers to go through in that one, and it's a £1.5 million reward to get past that stage again. Yeah,
I think they've definitely got 1 foot in it, although I think Giovanni Van Bronckhorst will probably offer a bit of caution in that sense. I think you don't want to go there thinking that the tie's done and dusted. I think they'll want to sustain the same impetus that they showed at Ibrox in the first leg, but I think without the goal at Ibrox, then I think it makes it very, very difficult for Red Star to get back into it.
Yeah, okay. You can give us your thoughts on how you think that return leg is going. Of course, after tonight, Rangers will know who their opponents are in the semi-finals of the Scottish Cup. That match at Hampden, because the draw will come after Dundee United against Celtic. We're going to talk about that shortly, but of the other 2 teams, let's discuss Hearts. It was emphatic in the end with the 4-2, but boy, was there some great goals in that game. That was a belter to watch, Tam.
Yeah, it was. Obviously, Hearts go 2-0 up early. You think it's going to be a comfortable night for them. St Mirren get the goal back. Great finish for Brophy, and then unbelievable strike for Conor Ronan. He's done that before. He scored a cracker at Easter Road as well. I know Stephen Kenny's, keeping tabs on him for Ireland. So listen, he's a very, very good young player. I wouldn't be surprised if Aberdeen, Hibs, teams like that will be looking for him for next season. I know he's on loan from Wolves, so. And then just when you think, Hearts are going to be struggling, I think the lad McInnes comes on and scores a winner and then sets up the 4th goal. So
yeah,
great substitution from Hearts to bring him on. He was a difference in the last 20 minutes. So no, I think Hearts over the piece deserved it, and they go into the semi-final. They'll be looking to try and obviously get into the final now.
Yeah, played some lovely football. I mean, the goal for Haring was well worked, Robbie. It was like ping, one touch, bang into his path. All he had to do was make sure he hit the target.
Yeah, when they're on song, particularly at home, they're really good to watch. I keep mentioning Barry Mackay. I think he's been superb. He pulls the strings, but Boyce looks as if he's coming on to a game as well. And a wee bit of credit to St Mirren to get back to 2 each. But when you're in that kind of game, something special always generally wins the cup games.
Yeah, and again, I don't know if it's because we're on DEFCON 1 with Aberdeen. You and I seem like scouts for Aberdeen at times, but when you look at players that are out there that are not going to get games with certain clubs, Ali, I mean, the boy Ronan, he was excellent up at Dens Park on Wednesday with a lovely little flicked header. He kept his composure in the last minute of a game. And then he'd only one thing in his mind at Tynecastle. He just hit an unbelievable shot. What a goal it was.
Yeah, it was extraordinary. I think he's impressed. I think in the times that I've seen him, he's been impressive. I think, and I think that's a problem for St Mirren. I think when you do bring through players and they grab a few headlines and there are a few goals like that, it becomes very difficult to keep them. And I suppose it's a double-edged sword. You bring in
Don't match to the
investment.
scout for finding him from Wolves anyway. That's the good thing, isn't it?
Bring in investment into the club, but I think it makes it difficult all the time to create a settled team and just to go and try and build something in terms of the first team selection.
I think when you look at some of the players that have lit up the game in Scotland, there's certainly enough talent out there if you can go and get it. We've talked about, what's missing in Aberdeen. Clearly they're going to have to look for defenders. They're going to have to look for value for money. But Alan Forrest is out there. This young boy I think it might be difficult to get him. Maybe Wolves look and say he's a long-term project, but there's certainly players out there that you could actually go and enhance your team.
Yeah, I think that the scouting, your scouting network at any club is massive. You've got to have contacts. And I think when clubs are recruiting managers, they want to know what contacts they've got. And I think that Jim Goodwin's obviously tapped into his down south. He's got him up from Wolves. He's been superb, for St Mirren this season. And it's not the first one he's got up, Jim Goodwin. So I'm sure that Jim will be keeping tabs on him for Aberdeen. He's got to be. I think he's been exceptional for St Mirren.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Saints, I don't think he's got too much to be upset about. I thought they contributed to a really good game. Stephen Robinson's side, I like Jordan Jones as well. I thought he's been impressive since he returned, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think we're selling everybody to Aberdeen. They know every player that's come on. I think that's the kind of player that Aberdeen are missing. A wee bit of excitement. But no, I think he's got time to settle in there and he'll bring his own players in. And if he was to get into the top 6 this year, that would be a bonus for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Just on that point, I noticed Andrew Shiney's up there. No cup games for you at the weekend, Andrew, but we're on a scouting mission down here in the West for you because your team's been ranked rotten. We're coming up with players that Aberdeen could buy. We've nailed Connor Ronan. We've also highlighted Alan Forrest. The scouts should be listening to this show, Andrew, and get buying for the Dons.
I don't mince your words there, Peter. Rank rotten. Pretty fair assessment. No, I think Jim Goodwin and the recruitment staff at Pittodrie obviously will be hard at work behind the scenes looking at changes to the squad for next season. There is one player who has re-signed for another year, that's Johnny Hayes. And I think, the experience that Johnny brings to the table is invaluable because he's so versatile. But I would agree that the need to get some more defenders on board, unless, of course, Andrew Considine and Michael Devlin are fit to play some games at the end of this season and the whole of next season. That's maybe an area that has a bit of cover, but you want to see more exciting players, and Connor Ronan has been excellent the couple of times that I've seen him play for St Mirren against Aberdeen. I think he scored 3 goals in 2 games against the Dons. So, yeah, I'm quite sure Jim Goodwin will be speaking to whoever he needs to speak to at Wolves, seeing if he can sort out some sort of deal. But I believe that he's got another year of his contract to go at Wolves, and they were talking in the region of £500,000 if somebody was to come in and buy him out of that contract. So whether they can do a deal that he comes to Aberdeen on loan, say, for next season, and then there's an option to buy, it's a case of watch this space, isn't it?
Yeah, we think there's enough talent in the Scottish Premiership that managers and scouts should be out there looking to try and sniff a few that can come in, maybe with a wee bit of experience as well, which I think is something that's missing from the Dons. But we're going to talk about Hibs in a minute, Andrew, but you've got them, the Dons have got them at home. Just these 2 games to go for Aberdeen to somehow mount some kind of move towards the top end. And I think it needs to come. You've got Aberdeen against Hibs, and then you're away to a team that I can only suggest is as poor as yourselves, as Dundee.
Yeah, and then there's Ross County at Pittodrie. That's the last game before the split. So it's actually 3 games, and they need to get 9 points. Simple as that. I watched Hibs against Motherwell yesterday on the TV, and I thought they played some good stuff, although it's that little bit easier sometimes when you play against 10 men. Should have been 9 men if Willie Collum had showed any form of consistency in his refereeing. But I think Hibs will have got a big lift from that. Melkerson up top looked a decent player. He looks like one that works hard, and that's something that can sometimes be levelled against Kevin Nisbet, that he doesn't work hard enough when things aren't going well for him. They look dangerous in the wide areas, so they will present a problem for Aberdeen at Pittodrie, but it's a must-win game for the Dons, and I would think that the club will be rallying all the troops, trying to get as big a crowd along as possible on Saturday, because lose on Saturday and forget about top 6, then you're looking over your shoulder to see what was St Johnstone's result, what are Dundee doing. As you say, Dundee are very poor, but they've beaten Aberdeen already this season.
Yeah, just before you go, Andrew, that's probably the one point I want to ask you about, because we're going to talk about Hibs' performance, and you mentioned there, obviously I didn't count that Aberdeen have a game in hand there. They've got Hibs, they've got Dundee, and then they've got, as you mentioned there, Ross County. Can I ask you, the club will be making positive noises about looking up the table. Do you look at this Aberdeen side and think, you know, they could be caught? There's a real worry that they could be dragged into that playoff place?
To be honest, I don't think so. Not now that Jim Goodwin's in. I think he has changed the mindset of a number of players. You saw it at Ibrox a week past Saturday. They proved to be extremely difficult for Rangers to break down. Now, if they can produce that type of performance with something going forward, I think, you know, Aberdeen will be safe. They won't get relegated or even get dragged into the playoffs.
Yeah, if they do go into that playoff and somehow get relegated, I don't think Andrew would even come down for the end of season party.
No,
I think he'd just head back to Elgin.
Smash his laptop off the wall up there. I'm not allowed to speak to PLZ again.
Yeah,
you've jinxed us.
Absolutely. Always good to speak to Andrew. Brilliant to hear from him. He just highlighted there, of course, Hibs, Alison, Tam finally got to see a couple of goals. In the end, were they worthy of it, or did they get the ultimate bonus of the red card in a minute into the game?
I think they were worthy of it, and I did think it was a red card. I know there was kind of difference of opinion on it. I thought it was a red card for me. I thought it was a really silly challenge to make, but I thought it could have been a lot worse than what it was. But no, I thought Hibs were worth it.
Yeah, Tam, 2 goals. He must have been delighted. Melkerson's now the saviour.
Oh, Melkerson is the saviour. I mean, I've been crying out all season for a striker with his movement. You know, his first goal, he runs in behind the defenders. Great play from Jasper, who was outstanding.
What
very
a
good
pass.
player. He's a very good player,
Yeah.
Jasper. I don't know if Hibs will get him next season, but they've got him on loan to the summer. But it's tremendous ball in. But his movement running from behind the defender across, gambling, gets his header. Second goal, movement away from the defender. Great ball again from Jasper. His first touch is incredible because he doesn't need to take another touch. First touch down with his chest, and he laces it. You know, he doesn't side foot it. He pings it with his left foot, and goalkeeper no chance. Ruthless. Thought he was superb, and I think that Hibs, you know, paid a few quid for him. You know, Hibs paid a 6-figure sum for him. Yeah. He's a prospect long term, but I think he's ready now. You can see him, and he's still got little bits of his game he can tidy up. But the most important thing for me in a striker is their movement, and his is superb.
Yeah, never mind one red card, Ruffy. I thought they should have been 2. I thought the boy Roberts' tackle was every bit as bad as Mugabe's.
Yeah, I think it was every bit as bad, but I don't think it was as much a lunge than the first one. You know, I think he was quite near the player. But yeah, I mean, the same thing is if he connects with the opposition player and something serious gets done. So yeah, I wouldn't have been bothered if it was 2 reds. You know, I think and the way the game's going just now, you just can't lunge in like that.
Well, Graham Alexander is now at that point where every time somebody interviews him, he's scared actually to say anything in case he's up in front of the SFA beaks and another fine is coming his way. But he reckons there was a fair bit of influence from the Hibs players for the initial red card for Mugabe.
I see challenges, I see players bumping referees, handling referees, adding anger to it, just adding fire to the situation, just like the last time we played them here. But nothing's done, so that's all I'm allowed, or can say, really. I don't want to take away the shine off how my players played for the rest of the game.
I think sometimes though, Tam, when you get such a bad tackle as that, the automatic reaction from everyone is, you know, sometimes you get an influence where I remember a Man United Newcastle game at Old Trafford where Keane and the entire United side wants to get round Shearer because he's not their favourite player. But this one, I thought there was justification for some Hibs players being angry.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. I quite like that from a team. You know, if you feel as if your teammate has been done by another player, you surround the referee, you go to the referee, you know, and you know, I think you're right with Man United used to do that all the time under Alex Ferguson. They were taught, you know, somebody goes down, you go and put the referee under pressure, and I thought it was a red card. I don't think there's any doubt about it. He lunged in, he caught him high. He's lucky his leg wasn't planted. The second one, I probably agree with Ruffy. I don't think it was a red because his back foot was on the ground, but Mugabe's 2 feet were off the ground kind of thing. So I think it was a red card, and that gave Hibs such a boost early doors to go and get the 2 goals.
Did you think the second one was a red?
No, I didn't think it was, Peter, no. But simply because I thought it was a bad tackle, but I don't think he lunged in, as Ruffy says, he lunged in 2 foot. I think the first one, he just flew into him. Yeah. The second one was a wee bit of a nasty tackle, and if he sent him off, you could have seen why, but I thought it was just a bit of a yellow for me.
Yeah, two yellows, a yellow for you?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
probably, yeah.
I think a yellow, but I wouldn't have been overly surprised to see a red.
Yeah, okay. Or as Kenny Miller said in the commentary, I think that one was an orange. I've not got yourself, Kenny. We're now on a 3-card system. But nevertheless, 2 good goals, and I think Sean Maloney well impressed with Melkerson.
He set a fairly high bar. But it was the different types of goals as well, and even he had a chance as well in the first half. He's just worked extremely hard. He's got a great mentality. He understood the process coming in, and he's earned a start.
Yeah, good goals from him. The only downside to the game, Ruffy, is I think I can't work this out. You always get an element within a support that lets the team down. And I think Hibs are going to work closely with Motherwell to try and get an identification on some of the away supporters, because you go to the game, there's 6 arrests, some of the travelling supporters smashed up the seats. What is the point? You smash up the seats, your club's going to pay for it. I just don't get it.
Yeah, it's obviously when a goal scored, you know, when everybody surges forward and they're all jumping on the seats and all that. But you're right, you know, that there's a bill. What you do is you invite the club to come and inspect the damage, and then you come to a price and they have to pay for it.
I just don't get it. I just think it's absolute lunacy. And of course, throwing the flares onto the pitch, you might think you're great with all your mates. The club gets the fine. Yeah,
I thought it was odd. I seen the damage this morning from the Motherwell end. Don't know who it is. Obviously, Hibs supporters, but I think they've got to weed them out. The club have got to try and weed them out, because that's unacceptable. You know, I think a steward get hit with a seat as well. You know, you're all for turning up. Hibs had 3,500 there yesterday, and majority of them well behaved. But you know, these idiots tarnish the name of the good supporters, and I think that's completely out of order. And hopefully, Hibs find out who it is and they get a ban.
And by the way, a big support too.
Big support, yep, 3,500. Brilliant Hibs support yesterday at Fir Park, but they need to find out, because that's unacceptable to be ripping seats up and throwing them at people.
Yeah, absolutely. So we now have a situation where I think the general consensus was it was going to be Hearts, Hibs, Rangers, and we don't know about tonight's fixture. It's Dundee United against Celtic. If anything, Ali, Celtic, like Rangers, have got this momentum at the moment, where they're just winning games and the confidence is growing, and Ange Postecoglou has already mentioned that he's got the bug from winning the League Cup, and the treble's up there for him.
Yeah, I think so. I think their form since the turn of the year and the resumption of games from the break has been good. I think there's only been a draw. I think they've dropped 2 points, but other than that, it's been fairly unblemished. I thought they played particularly well against Livingston last Sunday. I thought they had the bit between their teeth again. I thought the tempo was there that maybe hadn't been in recent weeks, and I think it would be interesting to see how they've used the benefit of a rare free midweek. I think you'll know within the first 15 or 20 minutes tonight at Tannadice, whether or not they're going to set the same kind of bar.
Are you amazed that there's not been one mention of Kyogo? I mean, it's one of those injuries where Ange has kept his cards very close to his chest on him, and I think people are not actually raising the question week in, week out because Celtic quite simply are winning games.
Yeah, I think there's two facets to it. I think Ange Postecoglou was very keen to shut down any questions about it, and not just in Postecoglou. I think he made comment one day that he didn't like discussing medical issues with people publicly or about people publicly, that he felt as though he had a duty of care to protect that information, that he wasn't comfortable in revealing any details. My own view on that would be, I think it maybe just preempts a story coming, that if you say that someone's due back in March and they don't come back to April, then all of a sudden you have a story about someone breaking down. I think it's maybe a way of managing that.
But that's part and parcel of the game, though, because, you know, you play the game, everybody wants to know the updates on it. It's not as if you're suddenly being, you know, you've got to be this clandestine country, you know.
I think it's just about managing the story. I think it's just in case someone doesn't come back or there's a breakdown somewhere that you don't want to discuss. But the other facet is that, of course, that Celtic are playing particularly well, that they've not missed them. I think there was maybe an over-reliance on them for goals in the first half of the season. I think since January, with the players that have come in, there have been goals coming from other areas, which maybe just takes the onus away from them. But I think if he were to be back before the end of the season, I think he would give Celtic an incredible lift for the running.
Yeah, he offers something really different, Ruffy, for me, Kyogo, because when a ball comes into the box, when he was playing, the 6-yard area, you know, defenders were thinking, I need to move to this because he could nip in front, because he was always hovering about there, whereas Giacomakis and Maeda are different.
Well, they're easy to pick up, you know, if you're a centre-half, they're easy because they're not as mobile as him, and he's on the shoulder, he's right on that VAR line, you know, and he does it really well, you know, and he's got that half a yard, he'll just nick in front of everybody and get in there, and that's what's been good. But yeah, I think the sooner they get him back, the better, because I keep saying on the show that I just can't believe that Celtic haven't got a goal scorer scoring 20 goals in any season. 20 goals, you know, and none of them are anywhere near it, you know, so they need to get somebody who's going to start.
Well, the bad isn't
Yeah, no, but he's not.
Kyogo would have got 30 plus.
Yeah,
if he was still fit, he was on track for getting that. I think he was on 14 or 15
Celtic
goals.
Will create chances, but I think teams now know that if they can buy that half an hour without them scoring, then they've got a wee chance, you know. But they will still get. If they're creating chances, they'll get goals eventually. Just tonight against Dundee United, I don't think Dundee United have got 2 goals in them in any game. It's just the way they play, and if they do get a goal, then they all start defending for their lives, and they're good at that. Mugru's good at it. They throw their body on the line, but I just think Celtic have too many options for goals.
Yeah, well, do you think there's going to be a shock? What about Celtic? What do you make of what we've been talking about with them? Ange Postecoglou reckons there's still more to come from this Celtic side.
It's different if you're 2 or 3 years down the track of having an established team and having won things, and you kind of think about it in that manner. But we're still a team that's sort of chipping away at our football, chipping away at our improving our players understanding of this football club, all those kind of things, and within that their ability and resilience to overcome the challenges we've had so far.
Yeah, Celtic 3 wins, a draw and a defeat. Obviously the defeat was against Bodo Glimt. United with just 1 win in the last 5 matches.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Ruffy. I think that Dundee United are a team that are stuffy, and they'll try and keep it tight for as long as possible, try and nick a goal, and if they do that, they can be difficult to break down. We've seen that against Rangers. I know Rangers created a lot of chances, but they still managed to get a point, so I think they'll try and just stay in the game as long as possible, maybe nick the first goal and then defend it. But I just think Celtic have got too much quality. You know, they've already been up there this season. They won 3-0, and it could have been 5 or 6 that day. I think if Celtic get that early goal in the first 20 minutes, I think again it could be 2 or 3-0. But I don't see any problems at all for Celtic tonight. I think they'll win the game comfortably. Yeah,
United, if you look historically, haven't been great against Celtic. Only 42 wins in the entire record. It's not great stuff. I think it'll be bouncing tonight. Should be a fantastic atmosphere between these two. I think Celtic will win comfortably. You?
I think Celtic will win. I'm not sure how comfortable it'll be. I think it might be the odd goal. I think if you were pressing me, I would say maybe a 2-1.
Yeah.
So I think Celtic will prevail, but I think they'll be in a game.
Ruffy?
Yeah, I think it'll be tight as well. But I'm going to go for 2-0.
And are we going to get a situation, Ruffy, at the end of it? Is that a comfortable 2-0 or is that just an unbelievable?
It's going to be tight. It's going to be 2-0. He said comfortable 2-0 last week.
It could be 1-0 and tight up until the last minute, and then you get a goal.
Yeah. In Ruffy's world, there's different comfortables. There's a 2-0 comfortable, and then there's a tight 2-0.
Right, okay.
But the other thing I was going to say, Ruffy, are we about to get somebody taking the balls out and suddenly we get a Celtic Rangers? I get a feeling tonight there's a semi-final Celtic Rangers there. If Celtic get through, and I'm tipping them to get through.
Yeah, well, slap of the gods, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
that I don't know what Hibs and Hearts would say about that. They'd obviously prefer to play each other and take your chances there. But I think...
Don't think Hibs want to get Hearts in the semi-final. I couldn't tell you the last time Hibs beat Hearts in the semi-final.
No, but you don't want to...
I think Hibs would rather get Rangers.
Hibs
Hibs have got a great record against Rangers in semi-finals, don't they? Rangers have not beat Hibs in the semi-final in donkeys, and they beat them 3-0, 3-1. Sorry.
You would rather Hibs had Rangers?
Yeah, would I?
Yeah.
Than Hearts. Just kind of stomach getting beat to them.
There you are. Said a spokesman for Hibs.
Somebody's run a few tanks off of Hearts.
There's your man.
We've got some record against them combined, me and Ruffy.
Yeah.
Oh.
And at this point, I mean, obviously it's nice to get a win over Motherwell. I think it was stacked in your favour from minute one, but with Elkerson, there's a good feeling about it. But do you look at the two sides and think to yourself, this one, do you think Hearts, because of their league position, what they've been doing, it's just...
I just think historically, Hibs have just not got a good record against them. I can remember Paul Hartley scoring a hat-trick against us in the semi-final of the Scottish Cup. Beat Hibs 5-1 in a final, so I just don't think it's one that Hibs fans would look forward to. But I think with Hibs now with Melkerson, I think that's gave such a big boost because we're struggling to score goals. He could be the saviour this season. He could be the guy that goes and gets you 7 or 10 goals between now and the end of the season and gets you into Europe and maybe gets you in the cup final. So I still rather Rangers.
Yeah, okay, that's an interesting one, Ruffy. What about yourself on that one?
No, I want a Rangers Celtic final. That's a final for me.
You want a Rangers Celtic final?
Yeah, I love the finals. They're great.
Yeah.
It's just brilliant to watch, isn't
What
it?
about
Everything comes
what
with
about
it.
a Rangers Hibs final?
Oh, the Hibs Hearts, or the Hibs Hearts.
A Rangers Hibs was a good final to watch.
2016.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't bring the same.
It was the best cup final of all time.
Yeah, but you don't know that before it, do you?
Wasn't
It was.
Do you think it was the best cup final?
David Gray last minute header for drama.
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
Never won the Scottish Cup in 100 and odd year.
Yeah, but Dundee
Rangers are a
United
better-
Motherwell
Rangers are a
take
better
some.
side now. Rangers are a better side than then.
Yeah, but Dundee United Motherwell will take some beating as a cup final.
Yeah, but I'm saying you don't know that's going to happen till after the game. What I'm saying, before the game, if you were excited about a game.
Yeah, Ali, what's your thoughts on this? Do you want a Celtic Rangers as well?
I've got no preference on it, to be honest. I wouldn't have any hard feelings one way or the other. I think once you get to the semi-final stage, I think there's plenty of intrigue.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I mean, there was great goals and certainly good football to watch in the three semi-finals, Tama. I hope Celtic and Dundee United can match that tonight. Yeah,
definitely. I think they were all entertaining games, every one of them. Even the Hibs Motherwell game, which I thought was going to be terrible, was a great spectacle. So, no, I think tonight will be no different. But I still think Celtic will win the game 2 or 3-0. But let's just hope in the draw that Hibs can stay away from Hearts.
Yeah, okay. We'll take it on board, Tam. But listen, who is the greatest of all time, Ruffy? We look and at the weekend's games, I saw Tom Brady in the Old Trafford stand, and I thought he's the GOAT. There's no debate. He's the GOAT in American football. But 807 goals for Ronaldo. I mean, he's just magnificent. I mean, he
does think he's the GOAT, doesn't he?
Well, it's a humility with his tweet from one goat to another.
Absolutely, but I think listen.
Messi's just reading that and going,
well, Messi's having a mare at the moment. I mean, it's amazing how your opinion. If you are, what constitutes the GOAT? Is it stats? Is it overall, trophies and medals? Is it overall a situation where you look at the player and technical ability that he's got, because we always argue the point, I always argue the point, just because of a generational thing, that Pelé was doing things that mere mortals could not do, and he managed to get into what was a world-class side, and he was only 17, and he played in the World Cup final. Some people will debate FIFA's interpretation of how many goals everybody scored, but what constitutes a GOAT? Is it overall everything about how they play, how they entertain, how many goals they scored, and how many medals and cups? Is that what it's all about, Ruffy? Or is there something a wee bit more that you have to look at?
I think it's a large part of it, obviously. You think about a particular player getting into a team that's not particularly great, and they make them great. And I'm thinking of Ronaldo with the Portuguese side, who have good players, there's no doubt about it, but he dragged them in the finals and semi-finals, and single-handedly with the goals he scored. And I think if you look at his record, you know how many times he actually saves the team that he's playing in, in the last minute or 3 minutes into extra time. But he's got quality, he's an entertainer, and he excites you.
Yeah.
And I think that any player at all that excites you, that can do something special. I saw a wee clip before I come in the day when he was at, what age was he at Man United? 18? Mm-hmm. Yeah. He went there, and some of the stuff, he was the flicks and the tricks, and even at that age, where if you're a supporter and you've got a season ticket to watch somebody like that, it's worthwhile buying the ticket, because he's an entertainer.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I mean, I think history will look on him very, very favourably. The only thing that people don't look on him favourably with is, this. He's certainly not shy at telling everybody how good he is. And I don't think British people take too well to that. But I think European people think, well, fair play to you.
I don't know, but I think it's his temperament is maybe off-putting for some people, but I think it is a combination of things. But I think it's people's influence on a team too. I think when you've got something a bit special, I just think it creates something in players round about you too. And you mentioned Kyogo in a different element. I think at the start of this season he brought something of that to Celtic. I think when he played, there was a different energy within the team. I think when you've got players who just have a bit of talent, who just have a bit of magic and a bit of unpredictability about them, I think it rubs off on everyone round about them.
Yeah, and you saying the combination, I mean, it's funny actually, because when you think of teams that have who's the greatest ever player to play for a team, I mean, Jimmy Johnson got the vote because a generation just marvelled at his skill. John Gregg was the greatest ever Ranger because he, for many people, epitomised what Rangers was about, his leadership qualities, and lifting the European Cup Winners' Cup. It's all those type of things that some people try and look for the greatest ever. And I wonder if by the time he hangs up his boots, people go, well, Messi was great, he won Ballon d'Or, played in a fantastic team, but Ronaldo has done it in Spain, he's done it in England, he's done it in Italy.
No, I think it's a great comparison, but we'll even mentioned Maradona, who went to Napoli, who were rubbish and won the league with him. Single-handedly won them.
I'm sure Careca, the Brazilian, is
no, but they weren't
one
of the big clubs over there, and he dragged them. Argentina, 1986. You're talking about guys that got into average teams and elevating them. Even Ronaldo, as you said, playing for Portugal, won the Euros. So, no, for me it's always been Messi, but that's just because he was in my generation. I never seen Maradona at his peak or Pelé at their peak. Di Stefano at his peak. Ruffy, probably you've seen Di Stefano at his peak. So there's several guys.
You're on forum today to try and annoy as many people as you can. Why don't you just go and jump from there and tackle them just above the knee?
Di Stefano a good player?
See, when I only saw him in black and white. I'd love to see what kind of an environment Ronaldo is in the dressing room with all the other players. I'd love to know if he's into the banter that goes on in a dressing room, and can he take a wee joke, or can he, you know what I mean? We've all been in the dressing room and all we know what it's like. I'd love to know if he just walks about as he does on the park.
Tap off.
Or he's got his own shirt or something.
Yeah.
I'd just love to know if he could buy into a wind-up, you know, because what he is, you know, somebody like cutting an arm off his shirt or something. I'd just love to know how he
deep Pete his pants. I don't think anybody would.
No, exactly. No, it's not. He's not the type of guy that would, I think, respond well to the Hibs boys of the early days that you were in.
Highbrow pranks.
Yeah, absolutely. But listen, I mean, even the goals he scored against Tottenham were a joy to watch. We love talking about great footballers. I mean, I do love Messi. I think he was fantastic. Johnny has just said George Best was just brilliant. And Johnny, it's a very good point. And you know, there's people talking about Pele, Maradona. And I think Harry Reid has made a great point, and this is where I always side with Pele and Maradonas of the world. In those days, players could get kicked anywhere, in the back. They were, I mean, Gentile had Maradona's jersey ripped to shreds in a World Cup game. Pele was kicked out of the 1966 World Cup. But I just think it's incredible trying to compare them all, but what is the overall thing that makes your judgment? And for me, to win 3 World Cups, but to actually excel in 2 of them, I can't get past Pele. But I think Ronaldo is certainly up there pushing.
Yeah, I think we all know the game's moved on now. You know, there's different formations get played to stop the modern day player playing. You know, I think there was more scope away back in Pele's days, but you've still got to have the ability to do it.
And rotten pitches, Ruffy.
And rotten pitches and balls. Ball's the modern ball now. If you can hit that, if you can hit a ball, the modern balls now, they're swerving, they're bending. I mean, the balls that they would be playing, they would be, I don't know what weight they would be, but they wouldn't be as light as, you know, but anybody that's got a trick's worth watching. Yeah,
and let's not forget, Alison, the key point that we all have forgotten about here, he's playing in a rubbish side. Manchester United are rank rotten. I mean, honestly, if you could see them in the flesh sometimes, they look so disjointed, full of egos, but at least his ego, he's delivering.
I think they look like a very average team this season. I think you've hit it on the nail on the head. I think there are just too many players underperforming throughout. I think it's been incredibly disjointed for the entirety of the campaign, and no more so that in the Manchester derby last weekend when you watched it and they just looked as though they'd given up, actually, points of it.
Yeah. Man United are poor, aren't they, Tom?
Yeah, they're poor. I mean, Ronaldo's won them a game the other night.
Yeah.
That header.
It's brilliant hat-trick. I mean, he's the best he's played for a while, but they're going to probably finish in the top 4. I know there's still a few teams there. Arsenal probably favourites, but if they finish in the top 4, it'll be because of Ronaldo and his goals. Yeah. Because if it wasn't for him, they'd be struggling to be in the top 10.
Yeah, and Matt says players are far better all over the world at this day and age. They're much better than the players in the 50s and 60s. Yeah, there are so many things that you have to try and take into consideration, but one thing I can't get away from is the fact that, I mean, even Michael Crooks has said not one player could lace Maradona's boots. But they were playing in rotten pitches. You could get scythed down from the back. You were allowed to be booted from pillar to post. I mean, some people said the first tackle was free. In some cases, the first 2 or 3 tackles on Maradona and Pele were free before a yellow card was administered. So there's lots of people putting in their tuppence worth. Michael says Maradona played in a bad Argentina team that won the World Cup. As well as Napoli. Were they that bad? Burachaga, thought he was a good player. Daniel Brown, thought they were all right.
Passarella and Kempes and.
Now Kempes was 78.
Was he?
Yeah, I'll keep you right, Ruffy.
Even 4 years later in Italia 90, Argentina were poor in Italia 90, and they got to the final as well. I think Germany beat them with Andreas Bremer scored the penalty in the final. Yeah. For Germany, and Argentina got to the final, and they were poor.
Yeah. It's one of those battles, and lots of people mention other players along the way, but it's one of those debates that goes on, and eventually you look over the stats and who's won what, whether they've won a Ballon d'Or, whether they've won a World Cup, but it was great to see it. As far as Ronaldo's concerned, big talk that he might be away from Man United in the summer. Ralph Rangnick says now's not the time to talk about whether he's going to get another deal.
He made the difference, but right now it's again not the right moment after a top performance today to speak about what might happen in the next 15, 16 months. For me, it's important what happens in the next 3 months, 2 months until end of May. And again, everybody in this club, the fans, the players, the staff members, everybody wants to be part of that Champions League season.
Yeah, okay, you can give us your thoughts on that. It is a football show, and I'm going to just basically share with you guys before we go the gist of the text that I sent Ruffy in midweek on Friday night. Basically, did you not remember? Did you read it? Did you even bother to read it?
What was that about?
I just basically sent you a text, and I'm going to show Tam
Friday
here.
night.
Friday night I sent you a text. You didn't reply. Obviously we've got to kind of edit it down. But I said, how can you lose?
Saturday night.
How can you lose to Morton? Saturday night. How can you lose to Morton? You have 5 times their budget. It's a disgrace. I mean, honestly, Ruffy.
As I was driving home, I just came out of the park, just been beaten 2-1.
And
he
he's
sends
texting
me
you.
that. If I could text and I replied, it would have been.
Ruffy, I mean, honestly, what a chance you had.
Well, again, you have to be at the game. You know, we're 1-1 nothing.
Oh, come on.
Comfortable. All Morton had was a throw in a corner, and I thought, right, it's another 1-0. But all credit to Morton, they kept going, and you can't keep trying to think you're going to win 1-0 every week. At the end of the day, it's going to come back and bite you sometimes, and it come back. But a point would have been good, but it was a bad result. You can't take it away from it.
And we all said to you that Arbroath were going to go up to Inverness and
No,
lose, and
there's
that's what happened.
There's still tasty games coming up. I think Inverness have got Wraith Rovers at the weekend. Kilmarnock have got Arbroath.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of twists and turns.
You still think you can win it?
We need to start scoring more than one goal, for a start.
Yeah. Ali, you've been to a number of those championship games. Give us your insightful wisdom on it. I think they've blown it. I think their best hope now is somehow get through a number of games, the playoff. Even although they've got one game in hand, they could still get them close to Arbroath.
I think you really had to win both of those games in hand. My money would be in Kilmarnock winning it, and then after that, I think it could be anybody's guess. We're going up through the playoff.
Yeah. If I had to push you on Inverness, Arbroath or Partick Thistle, where are you going?
Going to go with Thistle.
You're going to go with the Jags? Wow, that is interesting. Do you know what that tells me, Ali? It tells me that because you get cups of tea for nothing, that's why
half an hour for your house?
Yeah, that's why you're siding with them. I think Arbroath can get to the playoff.
Oh, I think Arbroath are in the playoffs.
No, I mean win it.
Oh,
I think Kelly will win the league, and I think Arbroath will win the playoffs.
I don't know Arbroath are in a poor run at the minute. If they ran out of legs, it's a part-time team. There's a lot of games recently. They're on a bad run at the wrong time of the season. I think Kilmarnock will win the league now. I just think they've got the bit between their teeth. Great result during the week. It's still tight. Partick Thistle, I'm looking at the table here, only 3 points ahead of Wraith Rovers in 5th, and that's outside the playoffs. So Thistle need to, you're talking about. I don't think Partick Thistle win the league, but they need to be careful. They need to win enough games to guarantee themselves 4th.
Is your game in hand against Dunfermline?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we've got 8 games. We've got 5 at home and 3 away.
Oh, so that's giving you the confidence.
Well,
to at least get to the playoffs anyway.
I would like to think we'd be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, remember, we've just come up a division.
Yeah, but I also remember a week ago you said you was going to win it.
No, I would never say we have a chance.
Foster.
We have a chance
of
winning
probability.
It.
You and Foster were sitting here saying, can you win the league?
No, we
you
never.
said yes.
No,
Foster did.
We might have done.
All fair you did, Ruffy. All fair you did. He says we're going to cruise this now.
I did say
that. Right.
So,
I wouldn't have said
and your arrogance has been...
Yeah, you're turning into Ronaldo.
No, I would never have said that.
So can you win? You get to the playoffs. Do you think you can still win the playoff?
Yeah, certainly do. Yeah.
Second's massive, isn't it? I think finishing second because one less, 2 less games.
4 games.
Yep.
Yeah, what a chance for you, Ruffy. Blew it at the weekend, but still big games to come. Tomorrow we will discuss Dundee United against Celtic, how it all pans out. Will Dundee United upset the apple cart of practically everyone predicting here at the start of at the end of last week that it would be Hearts, Hibs, Rangers and Celtic in the semi-final draw? I don't think there's ever been Hearts, Hibs, Rangers, Celtic in a semi-final in the Scottish Cup. I think we were talking about it earlier. I don't think that's ever happened.
I saw a stat on Twitter today actually mentioning that. It's an interesting one. You would given the quality of the teams, you would assume that they've been in the mix before.
East versus West, Ruffy. I can see it all coming in the draw.
A burning heart.
Yeah. Oh dear.
It's a Rocky song, isn't it?
I know. I knew you'd be terrible today.
I was listening on the way in, by the way.
Yeah.
Rocky, aye.
At least we'll get Hampden full, whatever way it goes.
Well, absolutely, because there'll be no argument over ticket allocation, or there will be, but it'll be created, but I think it should be 50-50. Fingers crossed. We'll talk about that. We'll look at the game for Rangers against Red Star Belgrade in detail, because that's all about Giovanni Van Bronckhorst thinking about seeing off Red Star Belgrade and getting into the next stage of the Europa League, which would be incredible. Some Rangers fans, Ruffy, maybe now, I've been speaking to a few over the weekend, thinking that this could be the season to win that Europa League. Who cares about winning the Scottish Premiership? You go straight into the Champions League if you win it, the Europa League.
Well, if you keep winning confidently, and beating the top teams, then the further you go, the more belief you have, and that's what supporters are like. They'll think their team can go on and win it. I mean, they've been there before. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's always a confidence that comes from winning games and some of the scalps that have been taken. Yeah, I would agree. I think the longer and the deeper you go, the more confident you get.
Are you buying it?
Don't think they'll win it.
Yeah.
Don't think they'd beat Seville or Barcelona, but I think you can get the semi-final.
Okay, there you are.
If they avoid them.
Your man has been in blistering form today. He's annoyed everybody. Tam's back on Wednesday. Thanks very much for joining us. Hit the subscribe button if you can. And also, I know I'm coming to it. Calm your jets. You forgot at the start, so I'm going to get to it.
I know, you did forget.
Yeah, hit the
You did forget. You were supposed to do it at the start.
It's not me, it's you that's supposed to say it. Hold on a minute.
No, I can't shut up here.
Hit the hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell as well. Okay, are you going to remember?
Yes,
the
I
names?
am. I remember for the whole show, Sean and Kevin, who watch the show every day, and these two guys know what they're talking about, because they're my favourite two guys.
Right.
Because I'm their favourite and they're my favourite, and they know what they're talking about.
Well, I'm happy with that.
And they're from?
Where are they from?
Balonloch, God's country, where I was brought up. What a place.
So
thanks very much for listening.
Yeah.
And watching.
Brilliant.
Every day.
That's good, and I've also mentioned quite a few people, including Kenny Miller's dad. That I ran into Jock at the weekend. It was great actually chatting to him. And next to me was a guy called Billy Rankin, who was there as part of the team at a wee show we were doing, Ruffy. And he was a big Rangers fan. So he was able to talk in my ear for the full 4 hours about Rangers. So it was absolutely magnificent.
There's only another guy. There's another guy who's like that, and I hope I get this right. Is it wee Barry's father-in-law?
Oh yes.
Who wouldn't let him in the house while he was courting his daughter. He had to sit out in the car.
Yeah, well, Billy Rankin was in top form. It was really a great afternoon with him. But thanks to Kenny's dad, John, as well. I thought I'd give him a wee mention, and all the boys out there at Musselburgh Bowling Club, which was fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Anyway, great to have Ali on with us. She's heading off to Tannadice as we speak. We'll hear from Ali on that game. Thanks to Ruffy, thanks to Tam McManus. Don't forget to subscribe. If you download the PLZ Soccer app, you'll get all the breaking stories on there, and you can watch the programme live as well. So, sponsored by Indigo Communications. To Big Craig and all the boys, delighted that you're with us on the programme. Join us tomorrow if you can. We'll be live at 4 o'clock on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel.